I'm here with Troy. I actually used Troy for my personal statement and it was a great experience. So I definitely recommend that. We'll talk about that more in the future. I'm also an LSAT tutor. We're going to go ahead and talk today a little bit about what sort of traits you should look for in a tutor. All right, Troy. So what do you have to say about this?
You have to have a tutor who cares about their students' performance. Because if you don't care, I mean, you're going to do all kinds of things that are not best, and you're never going to fix them. Even if you're never going to learn, you're never going to analyze, you're never going to try new stuff. So you have to have a tutor that actually cares about their students' performance.
Is that sufficient though?
No, and if you wanted to get tutored by a 5-year-old who really cared about you, that probably wouldn't work well. But but practically speaking, I don't know. I think it might be a pretty tight correlation between, you know, the more you care, the better you are. It might be sort of sufficient.
What does caring look
Yeah.
like to you?
Well, yeah. How would you tell whether somebody cares about your score and how you do? Some people feel like, well, I see that somebody cares about me if they're encouraging me, or
Mhm.
if they're saying, yeah, do that. You're gonna be okay, or something like that. But other people would feel like, no, wait, that person is just being like a yes man, like
Or
just
an
saying,
enabler.
yeah, or enabling, or colluding with the law schools to prey on me.
Right.
There are tutors who are good who take both styles. There's tutors who are bad who take both styles. So caring looks like different things, but definitely it's important to do like a face-to-face, kind of like this,
Mhm.
where you can see if you feel that they care about you.
I think one of the things I would look for in that first session, that consultation, are they actually asking you questions about what your goals are? Because I'm sure you give different advice depending on what the student's goals are. Are they a student that wants to go T14, or are they a student that wants to go to a top 50 school and get a full ride? Or are they a student that they want to work maybe in their own community and they want to go to a University of Akron, which is still a great school, or they want to go somewhere where, hey, if you get a 160, you're going to get a full ride. And by asking those questions and what their timeline is and really trying to see where they're at is one way that I definitely think I show students that I care, because what advice I offer is going to be geared towards them rather than just forcing my thoughts on them. But I also think you hit on a really important point about caring or even kindness does not always mean being extremely well liked. I've worked in the corporate world for 5 years, and some of the best bosses that I had were ones that praised me when I did well, but also corrected me when I was gearing off track. And if they would have just praised me when I was gearing off track or not called me out on it, I would never have gotten better. I ended up being promoted 4 times in 5 years, not because I was anything great, but because I listened to the feedback. And I think that's one thing that I'm really excited about law school. And I tell my students, like, crave feedback, crave getting answers wrong, and actually crave learning rather than just a score.
That reminds me of something we went over in your personal statement.
100%. I had encephalitis when I was younger, and I used to be at the top of my class, but in 7th grade, I ended up missing over half of my 7th grade year. And when I came back, I had to relearn how to read. I really struggled with focusing. I struggled with studying. I struggled with being able to hear in class. And I was heartbroken because I used to be able to get all the A's, but I would put in significantly more work and hardly pass. And so I had to fall in love with the process of one, challenging myself against myself and actually care about learning rather than the grade. Because if I only cared about the grade, it would just look like I was failing across the board. But thankfully, I'm so thankful for those study habits now, because I'm okay with not being perfect. I'm okay with not being the best, but I'm not okay with staying stagnant. And I think that my ceiling is, there is no ceiling, because I'm never going to be like, oh, well, I reached it. I'm finally the best. I'm going to stop learning.
Right. And
I,
so when you did focus, sort of learn to ignore the grades and just keep learning and keep progressing, the grades went up.
oh, absolutely. But it didn't happen quickly. I would say it was like a 5 year journey. If I would have just fixated on the grades, I guess I would have got discouraged
Yeah.
and just quit. But since I didn't quit, I eventually got to the point where I could perform well.
You can't focus on where you're at now. You just focus on learning and improving, and the score will take care of itself, basically. But I think it's hard on the LSAT because I think so many people have the experience of putting in time, not increasing in score.
Oh, you're spot on. And you triggered something else about caring. One of the things I think a great tutor does is they help break down the mountain for you. I think a lot of us view the 160 or the 170 as this huge mountain, where a great tutor is going to give you smaller goals so that you can see success and you have these small wins. I have one student that is taking the November test. Her goal score originally was a 155. She just took a practice test last week, 158. She's getting about 1 point higher every week. And she's like, I think I'm going to take January because I haven't maxed out. Before, she was really frustrated because what you said, she wasn't seeing any progress. So she was putting in all these hours and it was annoying, where now she's not afraid to study longer because she's actually seeing the results.
And that gets into teaching students how to study, because once you know how to study, you can put in time and get results. But if you don't know how to study, you put in time and get nothing often, sometimes even negative.
Or, so I had a student that reached out to me and they're like, oh, you made a comment that you should study smarter, not harder. Like, what does that mean? And so what does that mean to you, Troy?
Well, the difference between excellent studying and terrible studying is there's about 1,000 differences. But one difference that we've already talked about is focusing on what you can learn instead of how many you got wrong or whatever. And it's so hard to do that. I mean, let's not underestimate the difficulty of doing that. I was doing a logic game yesterday. I did it wrong like 4 times. I can't remember what I was doing. I was missing something, or I was trying something new out. And eventually I realized I just wasn't even reading a rule.
Oh yeah, that happens to me where I'm talking, I'm trying to explain it, I'm trying to draw it, and I'm trying to record it.
Yeah.
And I'm paying attention to the questions while still trying to read the rules, where I'm like, oh, this is why you shouldn't only do one, you only can do one thing at a time on the test.
Right. So I was getting it wrong multiple times as I'm trying to make this video, and I got other sessions to start, coming up and whatever. And I'm getting frustrated, like, oh, what am I doing? But then I said, wait a second, this is what I tell my students. I'm doing it wrong. Excellent. Now, that means I have something to learn, because if I was doing everything right, I would have gotten it right by now. But obviously I don't know everything. So what can I learn from this? And then I learned, calm down, learn, and saw, oh, missing a rule. Make sure, always double check the rules, whatever process you want to put in place so that you fix that mistake. And that's another thing, once you do focus on learning, you have to focus on solutions to the mistakes you discover that are generalizable. And it's very hard for students to identify those things, because if they knew those things, they wouldn't be getting it wrong. That's where tutors come in often.
Oh, absolutely. And I think some of those things you're saying is how to approach a question. Are you looking for strong or weak answer choices? How do you eliminate wrong answer choices? What tends to make answer choices wrong? Making predictions. All of those things are some of the things that whenever you get a question wrong, you can ask yourself, which one of these areas what could I have done differently to get this question correct? But also, where did I gear off and go wrong? Or what thought process did I have that was incorrect? One of the first things I go over students is slowing down. I'm like, if you are missing more than one of the first 12, you're going too fast. Most people say you shouldn't miss any. I give them one because misread or something. I'm like, we can learn from that, but you shouldn't miss more than one of the first 12. If you are, you're going too fast, and we need to focus on that level of difficulty. And then I tell students, all right, well, you're getting to 15, right now you're getting to 25 questions and you're getting 13 right. What happens if you get to 15 questions and you get 13 right, but you're actually accurate? Well, then if we have 2 months, all you have to do is get one more question right every 2 weeks to get to 17.
Yeah.
And you're only getting to but we're keeping that accuracy level. And I think that's where a lot of students end up pushing their tests back, is because they slow down, they start learning the material, and they see like, oh, I'm getting a little bit faster, but my accuracy is staying the same. And then they see this progression of learning, which maybe you have a different approach, but that's probably one of the main reasons why my students push it back, is they realize like, oh, this is actually how you get better at it. You don't just keep doing time sections and rushing and keep getting the same score over and over and over again. I'm very big on realistic study schedules. You don't have to be doing a ton every single day. If you can go away, if you drilled 10 LR questions a day and did serious review, even on the ones you got right, you would see significant improvement.
Yeah, I've had many students tell me they're going to do 5 hours, 6 hours a day. I don't think a single one has done that when I started working with them.
I tell people 2 to 3 hours. Takeaway. Tutors, you want people that are going to be honest with you. You want people that can break down the goals for you and help you feel success. You want people that know what they're talking about. I think you said you want face-to-face. You want someone that you want a connection with. And lastly, I think you want someone that can actually teach. If you are going to tutoring and it's way over your head, that's probably not a great tutor for you, because teaching is all about making analogies, like making it relatable, breaking it down. And you should walk away from your sessions feeling like you have a better understanding. You shouldn't walk away feeling defeated.
One other thing I would add, if I was looking for a tutor, I would be looking for somebody who is an attorney. If you have somebody who went to law school and the bar exam, they can sort of connect it more than somebody else to what you actually be needing to do.
You're saying
And
you're teaching them more than just how you apply these strategies to
right,
LSAT.
right.
Like,
This is
this is
not,
what this might look like in the law profession. So you're helping them
yeah.
be more prepared for law school.